Hi everyone! It's time to start thinking about coloring our Mary Blair creation. So here I have two different ways, and I'm going to show you a third as well. This was done on regular printer paper with pencil, Sharpie for the black outline, and then I've carefully colored it in with marker. So I'm going to just finish it up for you just so you can see what it looks like when it's all done. So right now I have a light green. The reason why I chose the lighter green, it's like a yellow green, I'm putting it right next to this darker green. So when we talk about the color choices that Mary Blair used, a lot of times she would use lighter and darker colors, or she would use the tertiary colors. I'll get more into that later in the video. So I'm just going to carefully make sure that I'm going up and down, coloring in the inside of the lines as much as I possibly can. When I take the time to do this, it really helps complete her look. And remember, for this style, it is important to have those nice solid blocks of color. Looking pretty good. You can always leave spaces that are white if you'd like. I'm going to continue to color in with this marker. But remember, it's absolutely fine if some spaces you would like to remain white. Maybe I will leave this place at the bottom white. And any little spots that you miss, you just want to go back over, make sure that you're coloring those in very carefully. Going as slowly and as neatly as possible. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to move on to my crayon and watercolor. This is the one that I did earlier when I drew it out on the watercolor paper. And the reason why I used watercolor paper was so that I could actually put the water on it. Remember, watercolor paper is a little thicker and it's a little bit stronger. So I did the drawing in pencil with you, finished it up, and now I've added crayon on all of my pencil lines. So I'm going to choose colors that match with the crayon. So I'm using my water. I'm going to wet my watercolors. So right now I have yellow, and I'm going to start coloring in with my yellow. One of the fun things about using crayons and watercolors, it helps keep you within the borders because the crayon resists the watercolor. It kind of pushes back on it. So anywhere that I've colored with the crayon, the watercolor is not going to touch. Let's see, I'm going to make my flower red. So it's going to kind of bump into that yellow line. And you can kind of see if I start to paint over it a little bit, kind of go out of the lines, doesn't like that. If I want to make it a little darker, I can add some more in. And I'm just going to continue painting this until it's totally, completely colored in. Unless I'd like to leave some white spaces, like I said before. So I've shown you some watercolor, and I've shown you some marker. I talked about before, if you wanted to create your piece with collage, you could. That means you can cut up paper, and you can glue your pieces of paper together if you have colored paper. You can color the paper and then cut it out if you'd like. So you can start thinking about different ways that you can create with the things that you have at home. There's really no right or wrong. It's really about what kind of speaks to you. I've had a lot of students use Legos. I think Legos are a really cool way. All right. Now, there's another thing that I would like to show you, and that is a new material that we haven't used yet, and it's called gouache. Kind of sounds like squash, but it's gouache. Here's the word. In Mary Blair's art, and a lot of artists do use this because it's kind of a mix between acrylic paint and watercolor paint. I really enjoy it. It's forgiving. You can kind of use water to erase some spots, You can spread it out a little bit with the water, but it's also nice and thick, just like acrylic paint, which is really fun. So I'm going to continue working on my piece, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the colors and the color wheel and the color choices. So I talked a little bit before about primary colors and secondary colors. So our primary colors are red and yellow and blue, and our secondary colors are green and orange and purple. When we get into the tertiary colors, we're just talking about the colors that are in between those primary and secondary colors coming together. Mary Blair liked to use a lot of those tertiary colors in her work. She also liked to use the tints of a color. So if I made something a little bit lighter with white, that would be a tint. So over here, I'm using some of those tertiary colors. I took this nice orange, and I took this nice yellow. So yellow's primary, orange is secondary, and I made this nice yellow orange. So you can see in this building right here, I have those primary, secondary, and the tertiary colors. So let's continue to work on this. I'm going to go ahead and get some of my paints together. I think I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint down here. So I'm going to get some of my yellow out, have my yellow gouache. And I'm going to get some of my green out. And I have a little bit left on the palette. It might not look like it, but I can still use that. Once I put some water on it, it'll kind of come back to life. The nice thing about gouache, you don't even have to use water. It goes on a little thicker if you don't. But you can add the water to kind of wash it out and spread it out a little bit. I'm still kind of new to using it, so I'm perfecting my own abilities. But it's a really fun medium to use if you're looking forward to trying something different. Now might be the time. There are different price points. You can get expensive kinds. I did not. Like I said, I'm still kind of learning and trying things out. So I just got kind of the basics for right now. You can also go over pencil lines. So you might be able to see my pencil lines. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to go right over these pencil lines. Because it's yellow, I can see through it. So you can go around the pencil lines like I did on this side, or you can go right on top. So we're going to let that dry. It's not going to take long to dry. I'm going to keep moving as I go over here, and then we'll come back. And I'm going to show you that mixing of those primary and secondary colors. So in this case, our primary color is the yellow, and our secondary color is the green. So I'm going to take this green, and I'm going to mix it with my yellow, and I'm going to start to get a yellow green. So that's that tertiary color. And I'm going to take that yellow green, and I'm going to come back over here and start to paint in my leaves. So you can see how it looks where I left it white. Now let's see how it looks where we painted over with the yellow. Looks pretty great. So these are 3 ways that you can start to color in your Mary Blair work. Crayon resist and gouache. You can also use watercolor or acrylics or markers, and you can also use crayon to color in. You can also use your Legos, get creative, and enjoy, and I cannot wait to see what you do.